Hi there, Steve Kaufmann. Today I want to give you a brief introduction, very brief introduction to Japanese. I was asked to do this in Chinese for one of my Chinese speaking viewers, so I thought I would do it first in English just to see what I have to say on the subject. Japanese is perceived as difficult. I don't think Japanese is difficult. The biggest obstacle, to my mind, is the writing system. You first of all have to learn the two syllable-based writing systems, hiragana and katakana, which are parallel, 50 symbols, and relatively easy to learn. But you also have to learn at least 2,000 Chinese characters in order to be able to read adult, call it, newspapers, books, and so forth in the language. And as you know, I very much believe in lots of listening and reading in order to get used to the language. But on the plus side in Japanese, there are no verb endings to worry about, no noun declensions to worry about. Once you get over that initial hurdle, it's relatively straightforward, other than the fact that it's different, and you have to get used to the way it's different. You have to get used to the fact that they have these little, call them dividers, call them markers, call them postposition words, like I go to Tokyo with you. Watashi wa anata to, with you, anata to, you, with you, Tokyo e, Tokyo to, ikimasu. So you have these little dividers. So you have to get used to them. But once you get used to it, it's a pretty good concept. It functions. It's not that difficult. You don't have to remember too many things. There's only a few of them. E, ni, kara. And I'm going to leave a link here to an excellent Japanese grammar which covers most of what you need to know very simply with no typical useless drills and unnecessary explanations. Very much to the point. So check that one out. So you get used to that. Anata ni, to you. Hon wo, the o designates hon as the object, like I'm going to give you a book. Watashi wa anata ni hon o, hon is book, o agemasu, give. So that's the first thing you got to remember. The second thing you have to get used to is the verbs come at the end. So in all of those sentences that I gave you, the verb came at the end. It's difficult to get used to. It's also difficult for Japanese people who speak English, who have a tendency to say, it is a beautiful day, just I think. So the just I think comes at the end. Whereas we say, I think it's a beautiful day. So in Japanese, the verb comes at the end. Also, in Japanese, they have what I think are very elegant ways of giving and receiving things. So, yatte ageru is to do it for you. Yatte morao is to, again, yatte means to do. Ageru is to give. Morao is to receive. So, I give. Yatte, I do. Give. Do. Receive. You have to get used to it. You also have to get used to, a lot of stuff is left out in Japanese. And because it's understood. So if I say ikimasu, it can mean I'm going. It can mean tomorrow. Ashita ikimasu. If I say ikimasu, ikimasu ka, I mean the ka indicates a question, but you'll notice that the pronoun is left out. And we know from the context who we're talking about. So there's so many things like that that are contextual. As I say, good things come after. So ittara, if we go. Iku desho, probably go. Ikanakereba naranai, we have to go. And so a lot of these things you just have to get used to. Like, and some of the things may seem at first a little clumsy. Like, we have to go. We cannot, ikanakereba, cannot naranai. Like, it's not acceptable not to go. Means we have to go. So at first these things seem difficult, but they're not difficult in the sense of trying to remember verb endings, to my mind at least. They're difficult in terms of getting used to them. So my recommendation in Japanese is to, first of all, invest the time in the writing system, do a lot of reading and listening. That's what I did when I learned Japanese. Don't convince yourself that it's difficult. It isn't. But like any language, it requires a lot of exposure, a lot of getting used to before you're comfortable, before you can understand it when you hear it, and before you're able to speak it. So that's just touching a broad brush, including that link to that excellent grammar. If there are specific aspects of Japanese that you would like me to talk about from the perspective of my experience, I'll be happy to do that. So thank you for listening. Bye for now.